Welcome to Creative Shadows, a video series highlighting music, art, photography, and anything that people do to express their creativity. I'm here today with my friend Ben Robinson. You might remember Ben from episode 1 of Creative Shadows, where we highlighted his woodworking and especially a guitar that he made. Today we're going to be turning the tables. Today Ben is going to be interviewing me about a song that I wrote through the years about my Grandpa Mitchell, coming up on Creative Shadows.
Craig, thanks for having me here and being able to interview you with the song Through the Years. Tremendous song. I've listened to it many, many times, and it's just a touching song. Tell the audience, what is this song about?
Through the Years is about my Grandpa Mitchell. He was a young man in the Navy, and then later in life he was a tavern owner in Ursa, Illinois, and then he became a volunteer fireman also, and he raised my mother and her 3 sisters. And so it was a song about this basically his life from a young man up to the day he passed away.
Just production of music, creating a song, creating lyrics, creating music. Tell me about that process of how you do a song. What comes first? Is it the lyrics? Is it the music?
For me, it's always just what inspires me. Sometimes I'll start writing lyrics, and sometimes I'll just be sitting at my piano or playing my guitar and I'll come up with something musically, and then I'll add the lyrics later.
Sure. How was it for Through the Years?
For Through the Years, I had a little guitar riff I was doing. I'll show you the chord.
Sure.
I was sitting in my living room in my old house, and I believe I was just playing the A chord. And I simply took away the top string. I mean, my finger was on that top string in the 2nd fret playing the A chord. And so I got this chord. And as a songwriter, I look for a chord or a sound, a tone that I feel is really emitting an emotion. And I just like the sound of that.
Yeah.
And then after that, I simply raise my 2 fingers up, 1 string each. And I was very happy with that.
Yeah,
I was like,
sound.
that's the song. That's the music that I can write lyrics around.
Sure. And so you had the beginning of the music. What was your inspiration for the lyrics?
So that first night I did that, I came up with the chorus musically that same night, that first night. And the chorus was, I started off with D, which is the D chord. And then for some reason I was like, I don't like that. So I just took my ring finger and I went to that high E string in the 3rd fret. And I was like, okay, I like that. And then I took my ring finger and went back to a regular D chord. I went back to this chord from the verse. Then I did it again. Then I ended that with E major. So I had the verse and the chorus music that first night.
Yeah, awesome.
So the second night, I was like, okay, I really want to write some lyrics with this music.
Yeah.
Again, as a songwriter, you look for something you can write lyrics around and you can base a song on.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I'm going to start writing lyrics of that. So after I came up with those 2 chords, I can remember I was sitting there all night long, kept on going back and forth, and I just couldn't find the lyrics. So it was the next night, and this was hanging on my wall. This is a picture of my grandpa, his Navy crew, when he was 19 years old.
Oh, awesome.
It's in San Diego, California. And it says 36 Destroyer Division, and I guess all these different battleships make up 1 division.
Yeah.
So I'm playing that chord progression, and I look up, and there's that picture on my wall. I was like, I'm just going to write about my grandpa.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I do things. Like, let's just write about my grandpa. And so that very first lyric is, I have a picture on my wall of a younger man who was my grandpa. I was like, well, okay, that works. And I just kept on going with it. And the second line is, he looked so young and so carefree. He was just a boy of only 19. And so I finished the first verse that night, and I actually wrote the lyrics for the chorus that night.
Yeah.
And so I was pretty excited to have that. And then for many years, actually, I couldn't finish the song. I couldn't finish it. I couldn't figure out how to write what I wanted to say.
Sure.
Songwriters will always tell you writing songs is very rewarding, but it's also very frustrating.
I can imagine.
It can be aggravating because you get writer's block, and you know what you want to say, and you just don't know how to say it.
Just can't get it out.
Yeah, and I wanted the second verse to be about my grandfather gave me his fire helmet when I was 8 years old. Actually, a few months before he passed away.
Yes.
He was a fireman, like I mentioned, at the Ursa Fire Department. And I knew that second verse I wanted to be about him giving me that fire helmet.
Yeah.
And so I'm a drum teacher. I teach drums privately, and I had the student. His name was Colin, and he liked what I had so far, that first verse and chorus. And so at the end of each one of his lessons for 2 years, before he'd leave his lesson, him and I would do through the years what I had up to that point.
That's so neat.
I would actually sing it, and I'm not much of a singer. But since I didn't have much of that song, just that first verse and chorus, we would just keep going first verse, chorus. And I taught him a beat and fills to play with the verse and chorus. And so we did that. He came to me for lessons for probably 3 years.
Sure.
And the last 2 years of his 3 years, like I said, at the end of every lesson, we would play that song. So finally one night he's like, look, you've got to finish that song. And so he left, and I was like, okay, he's right. I've got to finish this. And I was like, I want that second verse to be about the fire helmet. So I came up with, he came to me with a smile, and he honored me with a gift from his past.
Yeah.
And I wanted the word honored me in there because I had been talking to a woman on a dating site.
Yeah.
And she lived in Winsville, Missouri. And during our conversations back and forth, she mentioned that she was a fireman. And so I brought up my grandfather giving me that fire helmet. And she's like, wow. She's like, he really bestowed an honor on you.
Yeah.
I guess that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That fire helmet and the equipment, you know. So that's why I wrote, he came to me with a smile and he honored me with a gift from his past.
Yeah.
And then it was the helmet that he wore when he fought the fires and so much more.
Oh, yeah.
So I had the second verse, and I was pretty excited.
There it is.
Yep.
Yeah, that's incredible. And what makes the song so powerful is the lyrics that you have and the relationship that you have with your grandpa and the honor of the fire helmet. It's just truly just tremendous lyrics. And I'm just impressed that you can take these chords and have this little riff, this little progression, and then add these just great lyrics to it. It's something that you're gifted and able to do. Craig, the first verse, the chorus, written over just a couple of days. The second verse comes along a few years later, but there's also a bridge to the song. How did you originate the bridge?
The bridge came about probably just a month before we recorded it. I play drums at Columbus Road Baptist Church, where you play guitar.
Yes.
And we have a really good singer there named Jen Wingerter. And for some reason, when I wrote the song, I'd always envisioned a female singing it, even though it's my story. And I approached Jen to see if she'd be wanting to record it. She said she would. So she started coming over to my house, and we just kept on doing, when we'd practiced, we just kept on doing verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus. So then I approached Aaron Whelan, who plays bass at Columbus Road Baptist, and Colin Garner. I was going to have him play lead guitar, and they both agreed to. So it was like the night before Colin and Aaron was going to join us to start practicing. And Jen was there. I was like, Jen, I need a bridge. And I go, I just need something. So I start strumming the chords, progression, and I throw some stuff at Jen. And I go, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And it finally hit me that helmet is sitting on a shelf. And so I just kind of took that verse, or that lyric, and said, that helmet sits on a shelf. I think of the man he used to be. Meaning when I see that helmet, I think of him.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
And then, I finished that bridge with, that gift Daddy gave, it means so much to me.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, about the fire helmet.
Such powerful lyrics. They really, truly are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Colin and Aaron showed up. We all went down to the basement and started practicing. And probably over the course of a month, like I said, we just kept working on it. And I knew I wanted Colin to do a guitar solo like after that bridge, and we worked that up. And so we head into the studio.
Yeah, awesome. It truly is a great story. What's your favorite part of the song?
Probably my favorite part is him giving me that fire helmet.
Yeah.
Because he was 68 and I was 8 when he passed away. And so I really didn't know him that well. But, now I'm a grown man, and when I still think about him, I think about that fire helmet.
Yeah.
And that creates a bond between us.
Yeah, that's your connection.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your connection that you've held through the years.
Yeah.
And it's just a tremendous story and what you've been able to pull together here. Craig, through the years was professionally recorded. Describe that process to me.
The first thing we did was pre-production. We met Isaac at 505 Studios and we described the song to him. He met each musician. And then a week after that, me and Jen went to the recording studio and created a scratch track. And what a scratch track is for each musician, hear that in the headphones and they have something to play along with. Like when I laid my drums down that first night, I needed something to follow.
Right.
So the first night after the scratch track was, like I said, my drums. The second night, I did the rhythm guitar, which was pretty exciting to me because I've been in a recording studio before, but as a drummer.
Yeah.
So it was exciting to me to get to play rhythm guitar on a professional recording. And then I believe the next night was Aaron laying his great bass lines down like he always does. And then night 4 was Colin doing his lead guitar parts over the verse and choruses. And of course he had a guitar solo.
Sure.
And then of course the next night was Jen laying down the vocals.
So out of all of these various nights and processes that happened, what was your favorite part?
Probably since I'm a drummer, laying the drum track down.
Yeah.
You know, sitting in that studio and I'm sitting at drums, I've got my cymbals around me and the drums and I can see through the window, you know, Isaac with his headphones down. It's a very exciting thing.
Right.
The hard part about being in a recording studio is you're under a microscope.
Yeah.
Because that microphone's going to pick up everything. And as seasoned as a drummer as I am, I'd lay a drum track down and Isaac would play it back and you could hear maybe me hitting the rim by accident when I should be hitting the snare head and little stuff like that. So, you know, and then there's a click track going on. And you got to be right in time with that click track and you're concentrating on the click track and concentrating on your part. So it's kind of a hard thing to do.
It sounds like it. Craig, you have the team is together. You've gone through all the practice sessions. You've been to the recording studio. The mix is done. You're all together. You hit play the first time. You all hear it. What are your thoughts?
It's like what you felt. Remember in your episode how you talked about how when you finally finished your guitar and you strummed, I think you strummed the E chord. And you said it was very emotional.
Yes.
Well, that's exactly what I felt. I felt very emotional because there's my friends with me. You know, they're supporting me, and they came, put their time and effort in to practice the song and go in the recording studio and record it, and then to hear that song come out of those speakers, a song I wrote about my grandpa, and it was amazing. It was very emotional, satisfying, and I remember thinking, I hope you're here, Grandpa.
Yeah, awesome. And I'm sure he did, and he would be very proud. I understand you made a video. Tell me about the video.
I always think visually, also when I write a song, because I'm an 80s child, of course, MTV and music videos, and that was such a big influence on me. And I also made commercials at a local TV station for a long time. I majored in video making and communications when I went to Quincy University.
Yeah.
And so, even when I was writing through the years, I was already thinking visually of a video. And so I had the song, it was finished. I knew I wanted to put it on YouTube. So I made a little video to go with it, and it turned out pretty well.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's really cool. Why don't we show the audience?
Sure. Okay, here is Through the Years, a music video.
Picture on my wall of a younger man who was my grandpa. He looked so young and so carefree. He was just a boy of only 19. The picture is of his Navy crew. There were 300 men standing in blue suits. I knew which one he was. That smile matched the smile
Thank you for watching this episode of Creative Shadows. For my next episode, I will be interviewing Ben again. If you remember from episode 1, we highlighted a guitar that he made, and he has something in his hand. Ben, what do you got there?
Well, Craig, this is guitar number 2. As good as guitar number 1 was, I have been busy, and this next episode can be how I've advanced my skill in building guitars.
So it'll be an update on your guitar
Absolutely.
making. All right. So we will be doing that with Ben and much more coming up on Creative Shadows. See you then.
Mind blank.
Blooper reel. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. I'm here today with my friend Ben Robinson, who darn it, I almost cussed. Well, not cuss in front of Ben.
So what about the bridge? What is the chord? Spew this out.
Let's keep that.
Craig, that's not included.
My grandfather was, oh, darn it, I'm sorry. My grandfather was 8 when I passed away. How'd that work out?
How did that work out for you?
I don't know where the story of Brody comes from, but
Yeah.
He was Brody Mitchell.
We all have nicknames. I won't say what mine are.
According to your wife.
Yeah, true. She does have a few of those.
They're all sweet though, right?
Oh, at every last one of them. Depends on, yeah. Let's do that little segment there, and then
All right.
check it.
Did you ever think you'd be interviewing somebody in a video?
This is new, all you people out there interviewing. This is interview number 1.
That's what you get for hanging out with me. We should have our own show, you know that?
We should have our own show.
Our own podcast.
Coming soon.
Our own podcast. The Craig and Ben Show.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, the Ben and Craig Show.
No, it depends on the day. It depends on the topic.
Okay, here we go.